Nadine Levitt is not just someone who created an app. She is an international performer. She is an opera singer. She is an attorney. She is a record producer. She is a Renaissance woman in all ways. And we are very fortunate to have her here to speak to you today.
Thank you so much. Wow, what an intro. I should have you around with me always. Thank you so much, Jack. I have to admit, last night I had a bit of a nightmare when I realized it was April Fool's, and I thought, oh my God, what if nobody shows up? Like, come and do this keynote, but I'm glad to see you all here, so thank you so much. I wanted to maybe start with an activity, since it's kind of early and we've been sitting for a while. Can everyone just stand up for me? Great. Now, everyone hold up one leg. Take your arms like this. Go around like this. Okay, don't fall over. Now raise one hand, any hand. All right, good. Okay, we've got a little bit of, remember if it's the left or the right. Here's what it means. According to researchers in the Journal of Experimental Psychology, if you raise your left hand, it means you're more likely to be a creative thinker, and you're going to out-earn your right-handed contemporaries by up to about 26%. If you raise your right hand, it means you're going to have an easier life, and you're going to live longer by about 9 years. So, I want you guys to do the same thing again. Now this time though, I want you to think of the outcome that you want. Do you want to be more creative and do you want to earn more money? Or do you want to have an easier life and live longer? Now you pick your hand that you want to do, and you can't do both. Can't do both. But think of the outcome that you'd like, and it might feel a little weird at first, so we're going to practice it once, and then in your own time you can keep practicing it. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. All right, good. Perfect. Imagine, you can all sit down. Thank you. Imagine if we did that same exercise with education. Imagine if with education we thought about what outcome we wanted, true outcome, and then thought about how everyone, and backward engineer and think about how every subject can support that outcome. So what is the purpose of public school education? I think it can fall within buckets of about 8 to 10 or 12, maybe-ish, types of answers. And so recently I did just that. I asked, it was actually 110 because SurveyMonkey gave me 10 extra ones, but I asked 110 educators, employers, and parents what they thought the purpose of public education was. And interestingly enough, it was overwhelming. There was actually an overwhelming consensus of 8 potential answers and another field, which nobody filled in because maybe they're just lazy. But 42.73% thought that the purpose of school is to develop critical thinking skills and learn how to effectively problem solve. I thought that was really an interesting concept because I don't think parents normally think about that. The California Department of Education had a vision up on their website, so I pulled it up, that all California students of the 21st century will attain the highest level of academic knowledge, applied learning, and performance skills. Now I want to take this last bit because really this is the goal, at least for California Department of Ed, to ensure fulfilling personal lives and careers and contribute to civic and economic progress in our diverse and changing democratic society. Now if you take that and translate it, it really means that the goal of public education is for students to attain skills necessary to live fulfilling lives. Obviously, that is your skills for satisfying personal life, skills for a satisfying career, and for a fulfilling service to our community. Now, super powerful. I think that's an amazing place to start, and I am in complete agreement that that should be the goal of public school education. However, it needs a lot more drilling down as to what those skills are. I mean, I know that there's a billion-dollar industry in books being written about how to lead a fulfilling life and a satisfying life. So I don't think that we're necessarily going to drill down and get all those skills in a list, in an exhaustive list. But I do think, no matter what you say, there has to be some soft skill in there. We have to have some soft skill development as part of that. There's no way that you can live a fulfilling life without any soft skills at all. Skills like emotional recognition, or impulse control, or maybe we're talking interpersonal skills or problem solving. So in this day of where AI is coming, and recently there was a wonderful economist who talks about AI as a giant gray rhino that is charging toward us. And you can either think that it's not happening and dig your head into the sand, or you can see that it's coming and adjust how we educate, how we develop our skills so that we have a workforce that isn't going to be out of a job. So I think it was China recently made it mandatory for everyone to learn an instrument. And it was within school. And I thought that was really interesting because there's no way they would have done that without some kind of research behind it. And I think they're so heavily invested in AI that maybe that's why. I think when we think about the skills that AI will not be taking over, I think those sort of emotional, those sort of the soft skill, the things that are creative, the things that are innovative, are things that I don't think AI is going to be taking over anytime soon. So I love this comic because it's sort of, sorry, I wanted to share it with you, because I want to make sure that within a school setting, we continue to develop those skills and we don't become less intelligent just because AI is there. I think that in fact we need to think what those soft skills are and develop those further and become more intelligent because of artificial intelligence. What if I told you that if I believe in a holistic education, first of all. I really believe that you can have many different lessons within. So I can teach you technical skills, and they also then develop soft skills, obviously. So if I told you that we were going to learn this song right now, Bohemian Rhapsody, and I was going to randomly pick 5 of you to come and perform it in front of all of this wonderful crowd. How many of you just felt a pang of anxiety rush through your body? Yeah. Well, that's what your students feel every time you have them present a new song for them to learn, right? Because it looks like a monster. It looks like this epic problem that they don't even know where to start. But if we can say, this is just problem solving 101, like any other problem that you have in your life, whether it's business or otherwise, it can be approached with the same techniques. You separate the problem into bite-sized chunks. So you separate it out. You allow yourself to take breaks. You work out what your timeline is. You don't compare yourself to others. And you focus on 1 or 2 levels of learning at a time. So it's either notation and fingering, and maybe don't worry about the dynamics, don't worry about the expression, don't worry about legato, staccato, or anything. Just get that first, and we can layer in the rest later. But this is applicable to any kind of a problem. It doesn't matter. Within work, it might be a problem of how do I sell red socks to somebody who likes pink socks. It's the same kind of. Once you have any kind of a problem that you have to solve, you have to figure out how to break it down. Another skill that you're learning with Bohemian Rhapsody, pattern recognition. You're better able to forecast. You might also go into the emotional recognition. What kinds of emotions could be reflected in that song? You might deal with impulse control because at that point you have to stop and start, and you have to be able to control your impulses. If you happen to perform in a group, then there's collaboration. There might be communication. There's a myriad of soft skills that are at play here. And the same can be said for dance. The same can be said for theater. The same can be said for whether you're on the stage or backstage, whether you're writing the script or anything. Any arts at all, anything within arts, media, and entertainment actually requires these soft skills, even when you're largely working by yourself. I do think that the soft skill development is much stronger when it's inherently collaborative, which a lot of these subjects are. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And so I think we need to do a better job of signposting what those soft skills are, so that if we all start using the same signposts, then everybody starts to understand, oh, this is applicable in any problem solving, or I can use this in math, or I can use this in English. And what's interesting is, in a school setting, I don't learn math to be a mathematician. I don't learn science to be a scientist. No, these are basic fundamental skills that I need to learn because I use them in my daily life. I need to know whether a $20 bill is going to be enough for my venti latte and a croissant, right? I'm not going to whip out my calculator. I need to be able to do that in my head. Or I need to understand the basics of gravity. There are fundamental things that you need to learn. However, for some reason, within arts, it's the opposite. You're supposed to only learn dance if you want to be a dancer, or music if you're going to be a musician. Why? That's ridiculous. The studies have been out there forever that show kids who learn an instrument have, or dance, by the way, same thing, greater pattern recognition. With patterns, you're so much better able to forecast what someone's going to do. You're going to be a better judge of what the likely outcome is, and you're better able to remember for next time and learn from that behavior. So, I talked about a holistic approach to education. What exactly does that mean? It really means that nothing should be in a silo. And when STEM happened, I think that the structure of STEAM is actually a good structure in terms of science, technology, engineering, and math. Arts, unfortunately, I think, was really slotted in as an afterthought. I don't think it was STEM and then it wasn't working, so they went, oh, hang on, who's going to design the fabulous things that Apple needs to sell? Or who's going to understand what a consumer is going to feel when they touch this object, right? You need design, you need art, you need all these arts in order to round out your education. So I think that arts should be the seed and not the afterthought. So it should be the seed that ties it all together and not the afterthought. We all know that in today's day and age, we don't have one job that we sit in. And it's the same job that we keep forever until we retire at 65. No, it's a long and winding road. And along the way, we pick up skills. So for me, you heard some of my bio by Jack. Thank you, Jack. But I started off as a waitress, right, in college. And I think it's one of the most wonderful ways to pick up things like staying cool under pressure, being able to collaborate with people and work as a member of a team, being able to put a smile on your face even when you're having the worst possible day. All these things are continuous, right? They don't stop suddenly. I needed Whirly, basically, and I created an app for me, which it started really, for lack of a better description, as karaoke on steroids. I was doing shows. I was on the road at the time, working with David Foster, and I got the chance to open a vocal health benefit for, and I was opening for Steven Tyler. And Steven said, would you sing one of my songs, but in your own opera way? And I was like, yeah, sure, no problem. And I had to figure out how on earth I was going to do that. And so I went online and I tried to find a backing track. And I just used a karaoke backing track at first. But what I found was it was really hard to make that my own. It was extremely hard not to hear his iconic version in my head. And so it was just cheesy. It was just really not authentic and not cool in any way, shape, or form. So I would record myself playing the piano because I'm a terrible multitasker. I can't actually do the same two things at once. And I recorded myself on the piano, and that didn't work so well. So I ended up having to re-record it multiple times in different keys. And then I ended up hiring a pianist to play with me just so that I could play around and be creative with it. And I thought to myself, wouldn't it be nice if there was an app that just let me take a song and maybe I could have an acoustic version of that song and maybe I could change the key or the speed. Like, if music is about self-expression, why do I need to tailor myself to a song rather than the song tailor itself to me? And that's how Whirly was born. So I wonder whether we could run schools a little bit like a tech company. Now, just hear me out. I know it's kind of weird, but in the tech world, we have something that's called a daily stand-up. So a daily stand-up is literally a meeting where everyone stands up. You're not allowed to sit down because you're supposed to keep it short and sweet. And you talk about what it is that you're working on as a team. Everybody listens to it. Now, imagine if instead of a daily stand-up, we could at least start with a weekly stand-up, where every teacher in that school could stand in a room and talk about what they're working on with their kids in different levels. And then I'd ask that they go around one more time. And the second time, I want them to identify one other curriculum or one other teacher that they can support. How can English support music? How can music support science? How can dance support PE or whatever else? And you pick one other thing that you can support. And I think that's how you obliterate silos, and it doesn't have to cost any money. And it makes a much deeper relationship between all of the teachers. You start to feel like a team and you're working together rather than against each other. So if there's any principals in here who want to take any piece of this, and if anyone does apply this, please tell me, because I want to hear how it goes. I want to hear what the results are. So first, I want to show you what this looks like. Can I have it's actually 2 volunteers. Okay, 1, 2, perfect. Okay, cool. So, you're an English teacher. You are going to teach about, you're trying to get your, maybe your kindergartners or your first graders into learning the months of the year. So January, February, March, April, May, so on and so forth, right? You are a PE teacher, and you're going to dribble the ball, right? And so, here, I'll show you it first. I'll demonstrate. Can you hold this for me for a second, please? So it's January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, right? So you're going to bounce it. You're going to say it. All right. Ready?
Ready? January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December.
Great. Awesome. So this is what it looks like. I'm the music teacher, right? And maybe I even have a math teacher, right? And I can show you notation-wise how it looks. So notation-wise, this is what you're doing. They're actually eighth notes. So I can work with a math teacher and say, hey, guess what? Now we're doing fractions. And whether you want to show it this way around or whether you want to show it in a pie, and you can literally notate it on a pie. So you can really physically see fractions within music. So these are the types of tie-ins. So I wanted to demonstrate. Maybe you guys can all together with, what's your name?
Tricia.
With Tricia? But with Patricia, everyone clap along, singing January, February, March, April, May, blah, blah, blah. And you will, or chant or whatever. And I want, you can keep repeating. And I want to show you how we're actually making music. All right?
Do you need the basketball?
No, you're going to do it, yeah. Ready? You're my bass drum.
All right, ready?
Yep.
1.
January, February,
Keep going, keep going. So you get the gist, right? So this is a way that you can turn it in, thank you. This is a way that you can actually turn an exercise into a fun interactive experience that the kids remember, right? And it's project-based in the sense that you're all kind of working together, but it's one class. It's one class. And I can tell you, thank you guys, by the way. I've sat in a lot of classrooms, probably about 400 classrooms in the last 3 years. I told you I went way down that rabbit hole. I remember there were these kids who were learning the 12-bar blues, and they weren't super excited about it. I'm just going to say they were on their guitars. And then one kid sort of started rapping a little bit over it. And the teacher, for whatever reason, decided to not let this kid rap. And I said, no, can I just try something? And I said, okay, I just want to see if we can combine rap, opera, and the 12-bar blues. And the kids were kind of, they saw that the teacher was like, I don't know what's happening here, so I'm just going to let you do this. But she let me, try. And the kid was super excited, and all the kids were sort of apprehensive, like waiting to see what would happen. And I started singing opera with him rapping. And this one particular girl, I mean, her eyes were just almost popping out of her head. She was like, oh my God, like that's amazing. And 2 years later, I saw her again, and she remembered me. And she said, you're the girl that sang opera in my classroom. And I think those are the experiences that we want to fill schools with, right? Those are the experiences that create memories for people. And those are the things like a block of wood. If life is like a block of wood and there are little pieces being carved out of it throughout life, school is responsible for a lot of these carvings, right? But at the end of it, we have this cup with which to hold joy. So I think we need to fill the experience of school. It's such a long period of time. It's such a huge part of your life that we need to make sure that arts is a huge, huge part of that, because those are the experiences that people take away with them. All right? Thank you so much for having me, and thank you, Jack and the team. Thank you, Chris.